everyone, welcome back to the studio. My name's Kaylee and I paint wet on wet landscape oil paintings. Today I thought we would travel to the Oregon coast in our minds and paint just a really nice sunset beach scene with a little wave in the foreground. For the colors that we'll need today, I have titanium white, yellow ochre, Indain Yellow, bright red, Alizarin Crimson, Sap Green, Phthalo Green, Prussian Blue, and Midnight Black. I've already prepped the canvas with liquid white. It's wet and ready to go. It is a very thin and even coat. That way we don't have too much mixing around. It's easy. If you apply it, you can go and check on all of the corners just to double check that it is consistent all the way across. I just like to give it a little look, and that's all I do. To start off today, I'm going to go into the titanium white and just tap into the edge of the brush and get a little bit of yellow ochre, a little bit more yellow ochre. I want to have a really bright color just right over here. So we'll start with the yellow ochre. Pick up some Indain Yellow, tap that into the brush, and right around the outside, blend that in as well. Kind of spreading this part out to the horizon. And just a touch more up in here. We don't want to go too crazy. Now with that still on the brush, I'm going to come across and just kind of give myself an idea of where my wave is going to go, and this will be the light spot of the wave. Maybe there'll be another one right back here. Just put in a little bit of just an idea, just kind of planning out how you want your painting to look. Next, I'm going to pick up some bright red and Alizarin Crimson and just mix that in on the brush. Next, pick up just a touch of Sap Green. A little bit more, just to kind of dull this red down. Let's give that a try. Don't be afraid of it. You'll be able to blend more with the liquid white that's on your canvas. I know at first it seems kind of crazy green in the sky, but I really like the way the green mixes with the alizarin to make this kind of burgundy color. It's a good color. I'm going to get some more. This time I'm going to darken it even more with a little bit more sap green. I'm just kind of mixing that to even it out on the brush. I don't want there to actually be green on the brush. I want to make sure that it's nice and blended before we start applying that to the canvas. Okay, we are just using our burgundy color, which is sap green, alizarin crimson, and just mixing that in on the brush and applying it kind of top down. We want it nice and dark, farther away from the sun that we get. And I really want to make this brown kind of just a little bit different. So we're going to use this dark sienna and just give it a different color here, a little darker. And just kind of scrubbing in the paint with the big brush. maybe a little Indian Yellow. I'm just going to tap that into the brush and just get a little pop up here. Maybe the sun is kind of shining through and hitting some of these clouds and just getting them to sparkle. Maybe a little titanium white on the brush. Just want it to sparkle a little bit more. I'll leave that for a moment, and then let's go down with this kind of muddy, should be some Indian Yellow and our brown mixture, and some titanium white. And let's use this mixture right down here at the horizon to kind of give us a barrier between the water and the sky. There's always a little bit of kind of haziness or fogginess, just mistiness at the horizon when you're at the beach. Especially with a sky like this, there's going to be something going on out there. Maybe it's just misty, windy. And I'm going to use this brush that I've already got pretty dirty here and just work my way up and down and moving up into this burgundy area just a touch, to kind of soften these lines in between our yellows and browns and golds. Just want to make it nice and soft today. Right here. And as we move higher, I'm going to keep giving some little bit of movement to the sky here and there. Good variety of colors. And with this paint on the brush, I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit down below just to give us some harmony. We'll darken that up a bit more later. Now I'm going to take my little sable brush, and I've got kind of a gray mixture on here. We have Alizarin Crimson and Phthalo Green. And I want to pick up some Prussian Blue. I just want a tiny touch of this color, kind of a grayish color. I want to add a touch more blue. And I just want to get an idea to remind myself over here, right about where my horizon line is going to start. Just to help my eyes as we paint a little bit more of this sky, so we can get an idea of where the clouds are going to be. Now with that done, I'm going to pick up my fan brush and come up into the Indian Yellow and dark Sienna, kind of a golden brown, and we'll get some titanium white. Let's grab just a touch of bright red as well. With this color, I'm going to just tap in some ideas of some clouds up here. Nothing too crazy. They're just kind of floating around. Just soften out the bottom of those. To that, I want to go into a little bit more of our brown burgundy mixture here with the Alizarin Crimson, and just kind of redden this a little more. We're just darkening it. And we'll move up and do this next little layer here. I'm just trying to get a little idea of some clouds. We just are using Alizarin Crimson. It's just our kind of brown mixture we made earlier. There should be a little Sap Green, but only just a touch. You can add more to get it a little bit more brown if you'd like to. Don't be too afraid of that color, but don't go too crazy. All right, with our Indain Yellow and brown mixture, let's just add in some ideas of some movement, maybe just some layers of kind of long flat clouds running through here. Now I want to take this brown mixture that we've been working with into the titanium white. Now we've got a really bright color here. But in order to get this to stick, we need to go into our liquid white. Just a touch of that. And it really thins down our mixture. Now let's come right up in here and highlight the bottom of these clouds that we just touched in. And these colors are going to mix together. Pick up a little bit more of that paint. I'm going to make it just a touch darker now. Right here on the bottom. A little more. A little more paint. A little bit more paint. We're just picking up some of our thinned down pinkish color. It's got liquid white and Alizarin Crimson. Now all the way up at the top, I'm just going to add just some, throw in my brush today. If you ever lose your brush, just step out of the way and let it fall. Don't try and catch it. Because if you try and catch it, it's inevitably going to jam itself right into your painting and ruin everything you just did. So let it fall. All right, let's blend these clouds a little bit. We're going to go right into the middle of those two colors and just give it a little swirl and tap. We're kind of lifting that light color up into the darker color, just getting them to blend nicely. Wipe off the brush and just continue up. I'm just kind of moving the brush in little swirls and twirls. Really trying to get a lot of movement. I'm going to give it a good lift up. Now wipe off the brush. See, we made a little bit of a mess over here, but we're going to fix that. Just go all the way across lightly. Now I'm going to go across this again just a little bit more. I want this just a little softer. Now I'm going to do just a little bit more browns up in here on the corner, just going right into the dark sienna. And to the dark sienna, I'm going to grab just a little bright red. I just want this side to really be popping, kind of gold but brown colors going on. A little bit of crimson, dark sienna, sap green, and I'm going to apply some of this down below as well. Now I've got a bit of mud on the brush. We're going to use that. Now that we've got a lot of the colors just blending together, we're just going to use that paint to our advantage and get even more kind of harmony happening here. I'm just tapping that dirty brush into this light area. I'm going to wipe it off and blend all the way across. Give them a good pull. Now in order to brighten this area up, I'm going to go right into my gray mixture, grab some titanium white, and we're going to use this gray and white together to add some brightness into the sky over here. Just a touch. Now wipe off your brush and get more titanium white. Just blend these together. And now we'll soften that. Get your blending brush and you can soften this even more. Now, using that same brush, just go right into your titanium white, pick up a little bit of yellow ochre, and we'll just pop on a little bit of this color onto our clouds that are closest. We just want to add some of this bright color in a few areas that will be significant. There we go. Maybe a little up here. Blend that out. just swirling and softening this paint here. I don't really want it to be like super bold lines today in the clouds. I just want it to feel way back out in the distance that you can definitely see that there's some movement going on in the sky. Okay, I just wanted to add a little bit more clouds. Just working with colors here until I kind of get it looking the way I want it. Little titanium white down on the bottom. Give it a touch. Up here, a little touch. A little bit more titanium white. I just love the way that the fan brush can get these clouds to look. Love that. Maybe just a touch over here. They're getting just a little bit more sun. Not too much. Let's blend that out. I definitely have a little bit more difficulty blending these clouds up than I do when we're doing the light more from the top. So be patient with yourself. Give it a try. Maybe just a touch more down here. And go all the way across now. We'll give these clouds kind of a little bit of a pull down. Same here. And let's go across now. Just soften it. I want to add another element of golden brown up into this corner, just to emphasize the darkness of this back corner by picking up some Alizarin Crimson, dark Sienna, and bright red. And I'm just mixing that on the brush. And then I'm going to dip into some Sap Green. It should give us a really rich dark brown. Pick up a little bit more of that paint, and I just want to work that in up in this area just a touch more. Now I'm going to pick up my blending brush and very lightly just soften those edges there. Kind of bring that together. Kind of bring that down in the semicircle lightly just to blend it, and now across. I want to lighten up this area even more, so we added some of that kind of gray mixture in there, and now when we come back, pick up just the filbert brush. That's just a clean brush that I have. I'm going to go straight into the titanium white and grab a touch of the Indain Yellow. Now we should have a really, really bright color here. And I want to pick out the section for the highlight, which is going to be right here. and just put in this brightest area of the sky. And I'm just trying to apply some of this paint, and then we'll blend it out in a minute. And it'll kind of make a little bit more sense as to why I'm applying the paint where I am in a little bit. You saw the sketch or the inspired photo in the beginning, so that should make sense. But I really want this area to pop. Okay, blending brush. Make sure it's clean. And we'll just go in an X pattern right in this area, and we really just want to soften it and get that white to blend a little bit with our sky. And it will just sparkle. Soften up these clouds now that they are a little bit more dry. Just gave them a few moments to settle in. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna leave that just like we have it. The next thing that we're going to put in is that big rock feature. So to do that, we're going to pick up Alizarin Crimson, Sap Green, Dark Sienna, mix those on the knife. Let's add just a tiny bit of Midnight Black and Prussian Blue, just a touch. I just want to darken up the color. And to that, let's pick up some of this titanium white. I want to pick up the dark mixture on the edge of the knife, and I'm going to put in the outline of my first rock. And it's kind of out there in the distance, not too far. And we'll just put in that top shape first and kind of work on the rest of the design of the mountain and get the shape that we want it to be. And I wanted this mountain or this like rock out here to kind of be right on the edge of this brightest area, so it'll really pop out there. So the light is just behind there, and also everywhere around kind of reflecting off of the water a little bit, but this area will be in the shadows. So we're using our dark paint, making sure that we get it nice and dark. And we'll just kind of have it go somewhere out into this area. Picking up just more of that paint. And making sure that it's really getting into the canvas here. Sometimes just to get this to blend really nicely and ensure that I have the paint like all the way into the canvas, I just push the knife and swirl it around, and the paint just starts to sink right into the holes in the canvas. You have to be careful though, because the more that you mix this around, the more it's going to blend with the liquid white that we have on the canvas, and it is going to continue to get lighter. So we'll just keep it something like that for now, making sure that it's just nice and applied with some texture. And now I'm going to pick up my dirty brush and pull down on this brown just to make sure we get some of that brown into the water. We'll go across that for now. Let's work on the water over here for a minute. I'm going to pick up a 1-inch brush just so we can apply a decent amount of paint but not go too crazy. Tapping into the Prussian Blue Midnight Black, just a touch of Midnight Black, and a touch of Phthalo Green as well. And we'll come right over here to where we had applied our little bit of blue, and we'll just keep that going. Phthalo Green, Midnight Black, Prussian Blue. Get this nice and dark down over here as well. A little bit more Midnight Black, and I'm actually going to pick up a tiny bit of Sap Green as well. We got to get that color in there. Maybe a little too much. Add a little bit of our Alizarin Crimson to that mix just to kind of get these all together. Helps to dull the paints out a little bit too. Just want to pick up my dirty blending brush that we've been using throughout, and we'll just pull down and kind of bring these colors together. Trying not to get rid of this light area that we put in a little while ago. We don't want to lose that one. Now we'll go all the way across. Nice. I want to add some more Prussian Blue into this area, Midnight Black as well. Just get a little bit of that on your sable brush, small blending brush. Just bring in some of this dark area right down in here. Really emphasize the shadow that's taking place on this side of the rock. Just apply a good bit of this dark down here. Maybe give it a little bit of a lift to bring some of that color up into the rock. And let's get a little bit of an idea of some of our shapes that we have on the rock. We made a little bit of a lighter mixture here from our brown. This is going to be used for our highlight and our shadows. So we'll pick some of that up, add some more white and some yellow ochre. And to this mixture, we'll add some of our blue and our dark grays here. So we should have a blue-black mixture. Taking the highlight mixture, just getting a little roll of that on the paint, on the knife, I'm going to use the knife to drag this highlight kind of across where I think some of the sun might be catching on these rocks out here. Maybe over here just a touch. Now we'll use our shadow mixture for the rest of this and just get some nice dark colors going on. I just mixed up a little bit more of the paint. I didn't have that much, but it was just our dark mixture of our brown, which is the Alizarin Crimson and Sap Green. Then we have a little bit of Prussian Blue, Midnight Black. And I'm just marbling this color in here. I want to get a lot of this dark in first. As you can see, we kind of lightened up some of this when we were blending it, which is okay. But we really want these shadows to be nice and dark. So let's mix up. I just ran out even more. Prussian Blue, Midnight Black, Alizarin Crimson, Sap Green. Okay, that should give us a nice brown mixture with a little bit of a gray tint to it. Let's pick up some titanium white and just marble that in. Now it looks a little too green, so let's add some crimson and dark sienna. Mix that up, get a little bit lighter here. Let's work with that. I'm just grabbing our dark mixture on the knife and kind of just wiggling it around, giving it some direction and some shape here. And we'll go back in and add some more details in a minute. But we really just want to get this paint in here. Now we're going to mix up a nice gray mixture with Alizarin Crimson and Phthalo Green, titanium white, pick up some of our brown mixture, and we've got kind of a light burgundy color. Let's grab a little roll of that. And I really want to emphasize our shadows back here with this nice color that we just made. And these are really the darkest sides of the mountain or of the rock that we're seeing here. So I really want it to be nice and dark in comparison to the rest of these colors that we're putting on. So really picking out the darkest sides of this and trying to add just a tiny bit of detail in the background. Now we will pick up, and with our titanium white, let's just grab off some of this mixture and add some titanium white and some Prussian blue. I want to use this color just to emphasize some of these shadow sides where we might have a little bit more sparkling because of the water that's shining on it or something. Just pick out a few areas that are going to be standing out a little bit more. Nice rocky slopes and stuff out here. These are still shadow sides, but we just want to add a little bit of something just to give you an idea that something's going on out here. Okay, I'm gonna leave that and just come down here to pull down our shadows. And then we'll blend that out. Now I'm going to bring up this horizon line a little bit so that it's nice and soft. We'll blend that out a little bit more. For now, we'll just kind of work on softening some of these areas, making sure that we like that. Because now we're going to add some little trees out here and some grasses. So with that, we need to get our little sable brush, and I'm going right into the yellow ochre. And I'm just going to put on a touch of grass right out here that's sparkling in the sun. I got a little bit of liquid white into my Indain Yellow, touch more green, and I just want to tap some of this right out here. So there's a touch of grass that you can tell is shining up here in the sun, giving it a good pop. Now we want to add in a few trees that are definitely getting blown around in the wind. I'm just picking up my script liner and some thick paint. I'll just put in a few ideas of some trees that are just trying to make it out here. Put in a few. Maybe they come all the way down over to this side. Now we need to add a few branches onto these, but they're definitely going to be blowing pretty hard in the wind, so I imagine they're not very full branches. So I just took some dark paint on the fan brush, and I'm just going to tap in a few little flat branches, kind of like it's real wind blown and they're really trying, but there's just not much. A few more over here. Maybe right in here. we just give that fan brush a good push. I want to brighten up this color now, so I'm going to add some bright red and yellow ochre, just right on that dirty brush. Just a little bit lighter brown now. Just kind of like they're a little further away, these ones. Maybe a tiny bit more yellow ochre. Touch of sap green. I'm going to get a little bit more sap green and just touch on a few areas. And down here at the base, let's just make this nice and dark with our nice dark brown. Just kind of fill it in a little bit. Make it darker. There's just more trees. They've got more protection from their friends. Into this, we're going to add some liquid white and then tap right into the sap green and lighten this color. Now, I want it a little lighter still. There we go. Let's work with that. And just pick out a few areas where we're going to highlight these trees and give them a tiny little pop. A little bit more. Thinning my paint down just a touch more and picking up a little bit of the Indain Yellow still. And I want to add in some lightness just right here as if the sun is kind of reflecting out. Maybe this one right here is just nice and light in the sun. And just a touch over here. Maybe a tiny bit right there. Out here. And then nice and bright out on these. And the last thing we really want to do to this, even though it's far away, is just make sure we have some good defined trunks going up some of these, and then we'll add in a few more. Just going straight up, you can pick up a little bit of that paint and add in some more trees. I'm going to leave this and just add in a little bit of waterline down at the bottom. Gonna dip my knife into the liquid white and pick up our shadow color that we used on the rock and actually use that as our watercolor down here below the rocks. And I'm just going to use that paint and touch lightly and give the knife a little pull, and it just drags out some of that paint. Right over here, we really want a good bit. Almost like there's some waves going up. You can give it a pull. Farther away over here. And then right across the front, we'll just give it a few more water lines. Right in front of this, we're going to add another rock. You can leave this out, but I really like it, the way that it looks, so we're going to do it. I just cleaned off a little spot here to mix up some more paint. I need some more brown, Alizarin Crimson and Sap Green. I'm going to add some Phthalo Green, Prussian Blue. Gosh, I'm having a hard time with colors today. We should have a nice dark blue, blue-brown, bluish, grayish black. Let's add just a touch of this dark sienna to it as well. Give us a good bit of paint to work with. Cut off a roll of that paint and we'll put in our next rock right up in here. And let's just have this guy kind of wiggle on down to there-ish maybe. And we've got this side coming right on down and right over here in front. I'm just using my dark color, filling in this space. I want it nice and dark. Let's just take some of this color and darken this bottom area down here. I know we're gonna want this dark down here, so let's just add it in now. This is gonna be kind of the trough area of the wave and some of the shadows. So we'll just give a good scrape with the knife. And we'll get some of that paint to come off and then we'll work with it in a little bit. I also want there to be a little wave up here, so I'll add in some of this dark up here as well. Just to give us an idea, get the mind to start thinking about it. Give this all a nice pull. Up here on this mountain, I'm going to pull down some of the mountain color or the rock, whatever color, into the water. Then we'll just give this all a good pass going straight across. Just softening it a little bit, bringing it together. Sable brush, and I'm going to use it to clean up our horizon line over here. This will be kind of the finishing this piece back here and we can move on. So we soften it with this sable brush. I want to kind of make it look like you can't quite tell where the horizon line is. It's out there, but there's no definitive line for it. There we go, and we'll soften up this rock a little bit where we just scuffed it. And let's work with that. I'm going to use this dark color here that we mixed up for our first mountain and mix it with our darker color so we can have one that's closer to us. Using that dark mixture, we'll just add in a few details on the back side of this mountain to make it feel nice and dark and have the right type of contrast for our eyes. I'm just using that dark mixture on the knife, and you just give it a nice pull. If the paint is thick enough, it will just work for you. And if it's not thick enough, then you need to find some thicker paints. Okay, working with our shadow color over here still. It's a really dark, this has no white in it yet. We're just going to put in these darker colors first. Now I want to pick up our other mixture over here that was slightly to the greenish hue. And I want to add just a touch more of our mountain color just to darken it still, but it'll be kind of a lightish greenish color. And this is just to have a little bit of shine down by the water, from the water reflecting up. Just grab some of that paint on the knife and pull it down on the mountain. Next, we'll add a little bit of highlight on the right-hand side of the mountain, getting some yellow ochre, a touch of our mountain color, and titanium white. Let's grab just a touch of dark sienna. And we'll use this fun mixture out on this right-hand side where the sun is going to be just shining. And it's kind of grassy, so we'll add in some more grass features. And just adding in this paint kind of in no particular reason. We just let the knife do the work and it just pulls right off. Now let's pick up the fan brush and dip that into the Indain Yellow, Sap Green, Indain Yellow, yellow ochre. We want a nice bright greenish, yellow, green, gold color, and we're just tapping this in. Out on the edges over here, some green. I just cleaned off my fan brush and went into the liquid white and just the sap green. I just want to make some of this color pop. Now we'll go right into the Indain Yellow and get just a nice bright color and pop that right up in here. Right where we have our highlights probably just popping on the side of this mountain. Right out here in the water. Next I want to add in a few more rock features. I'm just going to go into kind of our highlight color here, which we still have a tiny bit left of. Titanium white and our mountain color and yellow ochre. Just grab some of that and pick back out a few rocks up here that might be touching in the light. Pick out a few branches and we'll put in some trees. These ones are a little bigger, they're closer. But they're still pretty wind blown out here. They are certainly trying, but it is just tough to make it out here as a tree. Just adding in a few branches here and there. And we were saying earlier that this was reminding me of the Oregon coast, and I just remember those trees out. If you ever saw any on an island out just off the coast, they were so beaten and blown, and they all kind of went towards one direction. So that's kind of what I was thinking when we were doing this. I'm going to go right into the liquid white and just into this kind of lighter mixture here. I want to highlight these tree trunks out here. So we just thinned it with the liquid white and just go right up along on the right side and give them a nice little bit of highlight. You can pull out a few branches if you want. I think we'll have a few more just kind of finding their way out here. Perhaps there's one right here, really getting a little bit of protection on some days from the wind, but mostly just kind of beat up. I'm going to pick up the fan brush and go into our darker mixture, then right into this sap green. And I'm just going to tap in a few branches, trying not to go too crazy this time, and covering it all, since I have the tendency to do that. This time I'm tapping down with the corner of the brush. It kind of makes the branches a little bit flatter, but you still want to try and get a little bit of variety to them. And then I'm just going to add in a few dark areas of this grass because I got a little crazy with the highlights. But we can put some back in here with the dark. Just a few little spots to add some contrast here and there. And especially down here on this lower area where it'll probably be much darker. I'm going to clean off the fan brush, go into the liquid white, and pick up some Indian Yellow, bright red, and let's just highlight a few of these way out here. Maybe make it a little darker now and just touch in here on this one. I think just a touch more shadow or dark tree branch over here. I think this will be darker, so we'll just darken this up a little bit. There we go. We'll leave that. Pick up one of your 2-inch brushes that's cleaner, and we're going to pull down on this rocky area to create some shadows and give it a little bit of shape. And just decide where you want it to be. I'm going to pick up just a tiny bit of our mountain shadow color that we were using and just add in some features right here at the base now that we've established where it is. We'll just finish putting it in. Just like that. Pull that down and go across. Now I want to wipe out my brush a little bit, because we're going to need that later. And I'm going to go right into this color, which we are using as our watercolor as well, and add in a little bit of a water line just at the base of this mountain. A little bit more. And just a touch over here. With our knife, let's pick up some titanium white and go right over to our Prussian blue and our mountain color. Just mix some of that up, a nice gray mixture. Cut off a roll of that, and we're going to put in a little bit of a rolling wave over here. Just push the knife into the canvas and a roll will pull right off. That looks just like a wave that's rolling in. And you don't even have to try very hard. Just pull the base of that backwards and it softens it. Just like that. Now right over here, we're going to add a wave. We'll pick up the filbert brush and pick up some titanium white and go into this blue color here. This is just Prussian blue, midnight black, and titanium white. And I'm just going to scrub in a little bit of some foam, trying to keep it above this dark area that we put in. I really want to soften it. And then we'll take our 2-inch brush and just pull out this dark right on underneath. And it'll kind of grab some of that highlight that we just put in. Give it a little pull, like a sideward motion, and then flat out. Okay, we're gonna add in a little wave out here. I'm using one of my dirty fan brushes from the clouds. It's got some pink on it, just going right into the titanium white. And I'm going to use this and swirl in some highlights on top of this light area that we just put in. And when it gets kind of small, you can just turn the brush flat and give it a little push. Nice, just like that. We'll clean off the brush. And I want to go pick up my script liner and dip right into whatever dark mixture we've got going. And I'm just going to pull out of the bottom of this foam here a little bit more dark. I'm just dipping into the Prussian Blue, and I already have some of our mountain color on here. We're just pulling out some dark areas. Pick up the sable brush and you can blend that out a little bit. Just pull it out in that same direction and soften it a little bit. Sometimes you can give it a little tap. Not too bad. Now that the script liner is clean, I'm going to pick up some titanium white. Just some of that dirty mixture we had going. Pick up some liquid white and thin this out. And I just want to put in an idea of the top of this wave out here. So I'm just going to pick out an area, kind of where I think some of this curl might happen. Next, we will get the fan brush, clean that out. And go right into that same mixture. With the corner of the brush, just give a little bit of a pull. We'll start out here. And just pull that mixture around. Maybe right over here a tiny bit. Now we can pick up the script liner again into the liquid white, into our mixture here, and right on the top of our water of the foam, we'll just give this foam brush a little twirl. Let it have some fun splashing about. And you can use the sable brush to just soften this and give it a little twirl. And some of these edges you can tap a little bit and get some splashes going. Okay, I want to pick up one of my 2-inch brushes. Just picked up one that looked kind of clean, but it's not that clean. But anyway, we'll pull this light mixture. We're going to blend it back a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to pick up the palette knife and we'll find some titanium white. Maybe I'll just clean off a big area here. We got kind of a mess going. A little bit of titanium white and our green gray mixture. Should just be our dirty mountain color, Alizarin Crimson, Sap Green, some dark Sienna. It's just like a little bit of a gray. There might be some Prussian Blue. I just cut off a little roll of that paint, and I'm just going to give us a little bit of some water movement just back here. This is kind of the base of this back cloud, and also some of the water movements that you'll see behind this other cloud, right as they're kind of working together. This one is crashing and rolling. So we're just getting some of that mixture in there. And now we're going to work on this next wave. With the 2-inch brush, pick out an area. Let's start out here, and we'll go into the middle of this yellow and pull it down. Clean out your brush. So I'm just trying to give this a little bit of shape here. And these are always going to be going flat. We just want to give this kind of an upward bit right by this wave, the top of the wave. Next, we'll take the filbert brush, and we're mixing up kind of a dark gray mixture. I want to add a little bit of crimson to this. And we're going to use this color, darken it up just a smidge. As the foam color. So we'll use this and just scrub in where we are going to have the foam of this wave. And there's going to be this misty area behind it. Just scrubbing in some foam. Now I want to add in even more. We're just going to add a nice big curl way out here. And we're just going to use the brush to kind of pull off a little bit of paint and add in some texture. And then we have this movement, just softening. Now before we get too much further, I really want this to be nice and bright down here. So I'm going to pull off just a little bit more paint where I want these highlights to be, kind of in some of these areas. I'll just get some of these where we think the light is hitting most and pull out a couple more. Maybe just some out here on our nice big splash. Okay. Take your sable brush and just tap. We just want to soften it. Wipe that out. Down here, we can give it a little bit of a move with the brush and just kind of soften that a little bit. And down here at the bottom of this wave, we're gonna have a lot of dark. So let's put just a tiny bit more of that in some areas where we really need it. This wave is curling over here, so we'll add this dark area to show how big the wave is curling. A little bit there. And then we'll have a little up here. Script line or the sable brush again, just soften it. Begin to make decisions on the shape here. We can see this wave out here is now building, and begin to shape it. I'm gonna wipe off the brush and just give this a nice pull here and get that shape really working for you. Out here we're getting less and less as it gets further away. Sable brush, just wiped it off a little bit, and now we're going to bring this together a little bit more, softening out that nice foam. Just want to make it nice and soft. I'm going to dip right into the titanium white and scrub some of that in now with the sable brush. It's a nice dirty brush. Just adding in a little bit of detail here and there. We're just building, playing with colors. And you'll start to see the shape happen for you. And then you just want to keep working with that and just allow the paints and the brushes and the tools to work for you. Now we're just tapping into some of this thicker light gray mixture. As you can see here on the palette, we have the titanium white and our gray mixture, and we're just going in between those and picking out a little bit more of this misty foam just in some areas where we're gonna have some mist. Now let's pick out a spot. I have a little bit of dirty paint on my brush, so I'm gonna pick out a little area where this top of this bigger wave here is gonna be. So I wanna add in some dark so that it'll stand out. So I'm just using my script liner and kind of twirling it along the top of this wave. I'm going to give that a little bit of a pull with the sable brush. It's always good to pull back a little bit from the canvas to take a look at what you're working with. I want to use a little bit of this color that we mixed up on the knife and kind of add a touch of detail down at the base just to help guide my eyes for the rest of this wave. Now I'm imagining this being just kind of that wiggle of the wave moving, it's being pulled and moving around, and there's just this movement, also catching reflections of the light down here. And now as we're moving down into this lower area, we see the perspective start to change just slightly. I'm going to pick up a little bit more of that and just bring that back up in here. I wanted to add just a tiny bit more color out on this little hill. I went into the liquid white and then getting some Indain Yellow and Sap Green. Nice bright color, Indain Yellow. That'll do. And we'll just touch right out on this bit here and right here. That's it. I was just noticing I wanted a little bit more right there. I want to add a really big rock here. So to do that, we need some brown, Alizarin Crimson, and Sap Green. Alizarin Crimson and Sap Green. Mix that. And then we're going to grab a roll of that, and we're putting in a rock out here that just kind of takes up a good bit of space over here. And with that dark brown, I'm going to kind of move some of this into the water as well. This will help explain this big splash over here that we put in. You're probably thinking, what are you doing? Maybe it makes sense now. Okay, big. To the brush, we're going to add some titanium white, Prussian blue, just a touch, and a little bit of liquid white. I want just a medium thickness of a lightish blue color. And we're going to pick out the shape of our crashing bits of water here. So see where you want to have some and just throw them in. I'm using just the corner of the brush to have a little bit more control. Now let's make sure that we like this. You can make a few changes. And then we'll pick up our script liner that we need to clean out. And we'll use this into our thin mixture. We want a nice light gray. About a medium texture on the script liner. And we will use this to touch on the tops of the water foam. This is just our foam on the top. We'll come back in and blend it up a little bit if we need to. Kind of missed that area. Then right here, I want some coming down. It's just curling around in front. Now we'll pick up the sable brush and a towel. And we'll just blend, starting furthest away, the lower area, just bring those two together. I'm mostly swirling the brush in one direction, kind of in this curl, but not all the time, just most of the time. Now that I've blended out the bottom of the foam, I want to kind of mist out the top, and we'll just tap just a little bit in a few areas here. Really make it misty. Next, we're really going to make sure that our script liner is nice and clean. I'm just using my brush wash here and a towel to wipe it off. And now I want to go into the titanium white and Indian yellow to make a sunshine color. A little more Indian yellow. titanium white, and now some liquid white. Now we really have a sunshine color here, nice and bright. We're going to touch on the top of our wave, right up here in the back, just barely. And a little bit in our foam here. I'm just pushing the script liner and giving it a wiggle, pushing it up. I really want this area to look like the sun is just shining right through it. Maybe just a touch right here. And then we need to take a little bit more liquid white into a light gray mixture. And we'll just pull some of this water, some of this bright yellow sunshine color. It just grabs a little bit of that and moves it around. We want to soften a touch in here with the sable brush. Let's add just a touch of this sunshine color right out here. I need a little bit more Indian Yellow. Sable brush, just soften that a touch. Tapping out a little bit more back here just to soften that a little bit. Give it a little pull. We've got some of this thin down mixture on our brush. Let's just add in a few details of our wave down in here. We'll use our lighter mixture for now. Just adding in a few. Maybe some over here. Let's pick up our blending brush and give this a lift up here. And kind of bring this together. You can just rock this big brush back and forth, and it'll bring kind of this natural water motion. Just keeping it roughly in the direction that you want it to go, and just do a long, kind of a long X, just keeping it right in that same trough direction. Just rocking the brush. Let's pull down on these rocks and go back into that. Okay, the last thing we need to do down here is kind of pull out just a tiny bit more of our dark color right at the bottom of this foam. Pick up some dark with the script liner and just twirl it in there we'll use the sable brush to soften it out. Right over in this area, we'll add a little bit of our sunshine color too. And we're going to bring it up into the wave now, the splash Indian Yellow, Titanium White. Right up in here a little bit. Sunshine color here, I think here. We're going to add a little bit more shadow over here by going into our dark brown mixture, some Prussian Blue and Phthalo Green. Just tap that into the sable brush. It should be a nice kind of a black color right down here. And I want a little bit more. We'll add some more right in here. I just really want this area to have a nice dark area, so that these lighter areas from the sun kind of trying to shine through will show a little bit better. So we just have to add the dark so that the light will show. You can't have the light show if you have a white canvas and you try and put a light sky on it. It's not really gonna pop, so you have to add the darkness around it to make the light show better. So now I'm just going to darken some other areas that I just feel they need to be a little darker. Let's add a little color to those rocks. On the shadow side, we'll pick up some of our brown mixture, go into some Prussian Blue and Titanium White. A little bit more of our dark mixture. Cut off a little roll. And just get that in however you want. To be honest, I'm getting a little bit tired, so I'm kind of ready to be done. And since I do all of my paintings in a single sitting, sometimes that just means moving through it and trying it again in the future if it doesn't end up the way I want it to. But we're always going to try, and that's how you learn. That's how I learned, at least. Let's find, we have a little bit of a highlight color over here. Let's just add some bright red to it and go right into that. And we'll add just a touch of highlight on the right hand side, kind of the top right of our rocks. Now they're getting splashed with all this water, so they're not going to be that bright, but it'll still count. Now we'll work a little bit more on the water here around these rocks. First, I'm just going to kind of soften the base by just swirling the knife in the base of these rocks. And it just helps to soften that paint. I'm just going to tap in the middle of this yellow sunshine color and our foam splashy bits. Just really soften it, wipe that out. And now we're going to think about how this wave is looking with these rocks. Like that's going to be kind of splashing around this way. Just kind of give it a little bit of movement in the directions where the wave might actually be splashing. Then tap out some of those brush strokes. Now we've got an idea. Let's pick up the filbert brush and some titanium white. I'm just going to dip into the titanium white in kind of my gray mixture over here. And we're going to move some of this in front of the rock. So you're going to pick up some brown, just wipe that off. It's okay. A little bit more right up in here. Now we'll use our sable brush and just blend that out, make it nice and soft. Gonna add a few more little features right back here in between these two waves. Just a few little ideas. Just saw that and I wanted to put it in there. And now we'll clean up a little bit more on the base of this wave where we see this foam kind of action happening. Just bring some of that paint around. Just softening out some of these areas where I see excess paint. And before we get too far on the rest of this wave over here, I'm going to pick up some of our gray mixture that we have just on the edge of the knife. And we'll just add in a little idea of a wave kind of behind this, since we kind of forgot about that. A little bit of water movement. You can just do a lot of stuff with the knife. Pretty easy. This just gives you an idea out here of some water. You're just kind of moving some of these colors together and it looks like just some water movement, so it really tricks your eye into believing it. I'll bring this up just a smidge here. Now we have some more splashes, just our highlight color. This is just our sunshine gray yellow mixture, kind of thinned down, medium texture on the script liner, just scrubbing in our last details of our foam. These should be our highlight-ish areas. Wherever you think you need a little bit more, just be nice and loose. And just add some fun stuff in. I think seascapes and waves, they can get really overly complicated and you can spend just years of your life working on the perfect wave. But I learn something every time that I do a wave, because you find photos and if you've ever been to the beach, like the waves always look different. So you're never going to be painting the same wave. And even if you try to paint the same wave, it's not going to turn out to be the same wave that you were working on. So I think just relieving some of that pressure, knowing that it's not going to be exactly what you're hoping for every time, but sometimes like you might have a killer few weeks where every painting goes smashingly, but that doesn't happen for me. So I don't know how lucky you have to be to have that happen for you, but let me know if you're able to go 15 paintings in a row and have them all work out amazingly. But for the single sitting option, you just run out of time, and you kind of, for me, I just want to move this along, and the gratification of actually completing it is far better than that of me spending weeks on it trying to make it perfect, because then I'm always going to be searching for that perfect. And right now I can just finish, get to a place that I like, complete it, check it off my list, and then watch it dry and learn from it. Okay, we're going to add in a little bit more of our bottom wave action. Just go right in with your knife and pick up a load of it and just file it in. Get it a little bit thicker here. Trying to work mostly straight, then building into this curl action up here at the end. We'll take still just a tiny bit more of paint, kind of move some of these back. When you have a thick paint on the knife, you can also move the paint that's on the canvas, so you can use it to your advantage and just get those paints to move around. I do enjoy using the knife. I'm just going to keep on going. I'm adding just kind of some pops and shines of little wavy areas, and we can always come back and soften them out. But now we have this wave here. Let's just kind of bring in maybe one more just idea, little shape out here. And I want to pick up the sable brush and just soften some of these. Maybe out here a little more softening. Now we'll take the fan brush, go into the liquid white, grab your light mixture, some Prussian Blue, light blue mixture right down in here, and we want to add some of our blue water and just pull that down, give it some more, just like it's splashing and crashing all over here, then all pulling back in the generally same direction. Wipe that off, go right into the same paint. Give it a little more in just a few areas. And you can kind of pull that water up and around. And now we'll finish this with a tiny bit of our bright blue splashing water right over here. I'm using a lot of titanium white today. I just got some more. A little bit more of the titanium white into our sunshine color, but more white this time. And we're just going to give these a little tap right where we want a little more pop. Take the sable brush, make sure it's clean, and just tap a tiny bit. Gonna pick up the script liner again, and I'm gonna add in just a few little pieces in here. That are just sparkling around. Maybe a couple over here, just shining on top. I think we need just a little bit right here. And maybe a little dark. Right up in here. Sometimes you lose this dark down below. That's okay. You can just add a little bit back. Kind of give it a little pull down at the bottom. Maybe a little swirl. Kind of play with the colors, darks and lights, until you get the effects that you're looking for. This we need to pull out just a little. And grab some dark over here. I want to bring some of this dark brown just right over here. Tiny bit of it. All right, I think we're almost done. I'm going to go into some titanium white, liquid white, right into our bright color here, yellow ochre, more yellow ochre, and Indian yellow. I just want the brightest color, and I'm really going to pick out a few areas here of nice bright highlight to stand out. Just give it a little tap. Maybe push up a little with a fan brush. A little bit more yellow ochre now, and a touch more up here, just on a few, maybe out this one. That's it. We need to add a little highlight. This was the color we were using. Let's add some bright red to it. A little more. And we're going to highlight right out here. A little bit more. Maybe some right up here. Maybe right here. Going into the sap green now, just a touch. And I'm adding a little bit more here. Just a touch right here. Now, final thing, I think we'll do just a touch more. I'm going to go right into the titanium white, into our light mixture here. It looks like I still had too much blue in there. Clean that out again. Liquid white and titanium white. Let's go over here. Touch of bright red. Right here. Just wanted a touch. I need a little bit more highlight on these rocks out here, just some titanium white. Let's go right here and grab some of that. Just a touch. Right in there. Grab some titanium white right on the knife and give this a little movement. I'm going to touch just right into our brown mixture and kind of grab a tiny bit of this blue and just dull it down. Just really lightly in there. And you can come back with the script liner and just clean up some of that. Okay, I'm going to take my 2-inch brush and just very lightly go all the way over this bottom corner here and just soften it. Soften it. Here. And that's it. I'm going to sign it. I'm just thinning down my bright red onto my script liner, and I'm gonna do a little signature over here. Okay. We're all done. I really hope you enjoyed watching me paint this. If you decide to paint along, I'll have all of the information for paints below in the description. Send me your photos, Kaylee at KayleeRakowski.com. I would love to see if you do end up painting this, or if you just decide to use some of these color varieties to paint something of your own. So I was definitely thinking kind of like Oregon coast, kind of cooler waters, misty air, and just a golden sunset. I'm really happy with the colors and the way it all turned out. Waves tend to just be challenging, so you know, it's the best I had today. So I hope that you give it a try and it gives you a few ideas and just kind of sparks some ideas in your mind as to how you might want to paint a wave at home. I really hope you enjoyed this painting today. Thank you so much for being here with me. Smile and be happy, friends.